Hello guys, welcome back to Tech Unbox with Anas. Today video we will discuss about overview of method called flow, calling method or caller, called method and some example of the method. So let's start the video. So the first one is method call flow. Basically it's about the rule of the method, how the method execute. So the first one is whenever the method call statement is executed, control is given to call method. The next one is once the method got the control from the caller, it start to executed. And the next one is once execution of called method is executed, the given back to the caller. The next one is the called gets the control is assumes. Next one is a calling method or caller. So the basically is the method which is tried to another method. One second, guys. Means the method which is tried to call another method is known as a calling method or caller. Let's take one example to understand the calling method or caller. So here we have an example class. Example inside of this class we have a two methods. First one is void called method. And next one is void calling method. And you can see here inside of calling method, we are just calling inside the called method. That is call it as a calling method or calling another method. Means in this if you can see the method which is try to call another method is known as a calling method or caller. So here, as you can see this example, here we are calling inside the another method that is a called method that is considered as calling another method. And the here we have a main method. Inside of main method, we just creating the object to call our method. So object dot calling method. What will happen? The first is caller goes to the void calling method and enter the block. Inside a block, you can see the first statement is called method. Then, instead of executing this is the calling method, just first go to the first method that is a called method. Then the call method will execute the instructions. After that, the caller come back to the calling method and execute the instruction about this is the calling method. The definition of whenever the method call statement is executed, control is given to the called method. The same thing is happen here. The called method is controller is given to the control called method and the call method first executed. After that calling method will be executed. So the next one is a called method. What is that? The definition of the called method is the method which is being called by the caller is known as a called method. So, so here the example is same as the previous one. So we avoid called method. Okay, this is a called method and this is a calling method. And inside of that we have a called method, just trying to call the calling another method. So the definition is the method which is being called by the caller is known as a call method. Means so this method is trying to call the called method. That is why it's called it as a called method. So this calling method is call it as a called method. I hope you will understand the called method. It's the simple thing. The called method means the method which is called the another method is called as a called method. So inside of calling method, we have a called method, right? So this method will be called after uh, before the calling method inside of this block. When the first statement is a called method, so this call method going controller goes to the first one is a call method and enter this block and execute the instruction. So the next one is who is called the parameterized method. So the numbers of actual argument should be numbers of formal argument, or we can say types of actual argument same as type of formal argument. Let's go to the Eclipse to understand more about the flow of method. So let's take the example. So here we have a class of example. Inside of that, we have to create a two method. First one is void called method. Inside of that, we have to write this out and write this is the called method. And the next one is we have to one more method void a calling method. Calling method side of this block. The first statement is we have to call the called method first. Okay. So inside of that call method, then this out. This is the calling method. So also we need a main method to call our to execute our programs. So we just created the main method and inside of that to calling this method, this is a non-static method. So for that we need an object to call our method. Example is equal to new example and then just we call this method example dot calling method. What will happen if its program run? Which one is first executed? So, so as you can see here, the second one is a calling method. So when we run this program, what will happen? Let's run this first, then we'll understand. See, first this is the called method will be executed. Then this is the calling method is executed. How? Because so when we call this method calling method, the control goes to the calling method. And when we go to the calling method inside of this block, we have a first instruction, first statement that is a calling method is trying to call. So when is going to here, the control is goes back to the called method and execute these instructions. After executing these instructions, control come back to the calling method and check if there any other instructions is there or not. So as you can see here, the next statement is system.out.println. This is the calling method. So that's why the next one is this is the calling method. For your understanding, you just write here calling another method. Calling another method. As you know that method call flow is just whenever the method called statement is executed, control is given to the called method. The same thing is happening here. So void calling method inside of that call method, to call method, then control goes back to the called method and execute the instructions. So I hope you will understand this example. if you think about why we need a call method, so just think about the here we have a calling method. Inside of this method, suppose if you need to check the even numbers, then you have to divide your input. For that, you need to also perform the even method you have to create here. So instead of creating inside of this calling method, what we need to do, just creating here. Instead of the call method, we just write the even number or check even numbers. So whatever the person performing here, that will be automatically come to the here, and then they can perform the another task. If they want to divide, they can divide. So for that reason, you need a call method. That's all about in this video. Next video, we will discuss the next part of the method. Static, non-static method and members or variables in Java. Also, we also discuss about the scanner, how to read, how to dynamic read. So that's all about in this video. Thank you for watching Tech Unbox with Anas. Before you go, let's subscribe my channel.